한국은 도시계획 시스템을 어떻게 바이러스 추적 데이터로 바꾸었는가? 로이터 통신의 기사 제목입니다. 이태원 사건을 거치면서 한국의 추적 시스템을 바라보는 국제사회의 인식에 모종의 변화가 감지되는데요. 우리에게도 익히 알려진 프랑스 변호사의 한국 비난건처럼 대다수 외신에서는 사생활 침해에 우려를 표하는 기사가 나오곤 했습니다만, 이제는 단순히 눈을 돌리기보다 진지하게 마주하고 한국의 추적 기술이 어떻게 작동하는지, 한국 사회는 이를 어떻게 받아들이는지에 대해 보다 심층적인 분석을 가미한 기사가 나오고 있습니다. 이는 서양 사회의 봉쇄 완화 시점과 이태원 사건이 발생한 시점이 묘하게 맞아떨어지면서 우리 보건당국의 대응을 눈여겨본 후 나온 반응이라고 할 수 있겠는데요. 경제 문제로 봉쇄를 풀면서 많은 나라들이 싱가포르식 블루투스 추적 기술을 준비했지만 한국이 다시 한번 억제에 성공한 반면, 싱가포르는 확산을 못 막고 오히려 한국 방식의 도입을 선언하면서 실질적 성공 사례를 가진 모델은 한국이 유일한 상황이 되었습니다. 한국 주재의 외신 기자들은 한국의 실제 상황을 전하면서 서양 사회가 색안경을 끼고 바라보는 상황을 일찌감치 기사화해왔는데요. 이제는 주요 외신들이 우리 외교부 장관과 직접 인터뷰를 진행하는 사례가 나오고 있습니다. 독일 도이체빌레에 이어 미국 ABC 방송이 강경화 외교부 장관과 화상 인터뷰를 진행했습니다.
South Korea reported its first coronavirus case the very same day as the U.S., January 20th. But South Korea has kept its infection and death rates much lower than we have, reporting about 11,000 cases and fewer than 300 deaths. And the country is now up and running. We bring in South Korea's Foreign Minister, Kang Kyung-hwa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So we wanted to pick your brain on a number of topics related to coronavirus because the response in South Korea has been so widely applauded. Strategies like screening people who entered the country, drive-through testing, disinfection protocols, and contact tracing. Do you think that South Korea's strategies could work in the U.S.? And even if they could, do you think that perhaps it's too late for Americans to adopt them?
Well, I think, first of all, our country has never been closed. We've always kept society open and the border open. And we were able to do this because we had the 3 T's, the testing, tracing, and treatment, a very robust system of the 3 T's. I think the 3 T's are the key to any fight against any infectious disease. And it just so happens that our recent experience with the MERS outbreak in 2015 laid the seed for the success this time. Our response to MERS in 2015 was not that laudable. There was lots of shortcoming. But having learned from that experience, we've beefed up the disease control infrastructure and the legal framework, and that has really been put to the full test, and successfully, I must say, this time.
And in addition to the 3 T's, part of South Korea's strategy for isolating coronavirus cases early on relied on government surveillance. Did you ever have any concerns about privacy rights, and how do you see that balanced against protecting public health?
Surveillance is not quite the term that I would use in the tracing. The tracing is absolutely necessary to track down the patients and the close contacts as early as possible, to isolate them so that you are then able to preserve the freedom of movement of the rest of society, i.e., in order to keep society open, it's imperative that you quickly isolate and quarantine the patients and the close contacts. The privacy issue comes in because of the information that we release to the public about the movement of the patient. Our disease control law also guarantees the public's right to know about health issues that affect them, that it is a government responsibility to inform the public about the evolving nature of this infection and the movement of the patient. Informing the public about where the patients have been prior to being confirmed as positive, so that they can see if they've crossed paths with the confirmed patient and decide for themselves if they need to come forward and get tested. So the privacy issue of the patient is the issue here, and we've been very cautious to limit the information that is provided to the public about the movement of the patient.
I want to move on to education for a moment. After a few false starts, South Korean schools began reopening just coronavirus this week. We see in some video students that are wearing masks and plexiglass screens around the desks and temperature checks. How confident are you that schools will be able to remain open with these precautions?
No, we've took the decision to open the schools 80 days after they were supposed to open in March. The value we place on education is perhaps the highest of any country, and it was extremely important that we get the school schedule back on track. So we have decided to open the schools, beginning with the final graders in high school, and that was yesterday. But we made sure that all the sanitary measures were in place, the requirements on the part of the students themselves, the schools, make sure that the social distancing measures are well in place, and also protocols in place in case anything happens.
And as you talk about, there have been recent outbreaks. For example, there was a recent COVID-19 cluster linked to a 29-year-old man who visited several nightclubs on one night. How concerned are you about this kind of spread, and how were you able to get it contained so quickly?
Well, I think with any spike like this, of course, it's a concern, it's a worry. And that particular case has now led to nearly 200 cases over a matter of 10 or so days. And this is all originating to some nightclub activities during the long holiday period in early May. Obviously, the nightclub activities involve a lot of young people who hop bars, I think it's the expression, move around the country, and so that has meant we found infections related to the club activities in all parts of the country. I think once again, our testing and tracing capacity was put to the test. It quickly ramped up. Prior to this spike, the daily testing numbers were around 5,000 or 6,000. After this spike, we've made it the testing available anonymous and free of cost, because we realized that many young people who frequented these establishments would be reluctant to come forward to get tested. So to make it anonymous and cost-free, we've been able to test well over 60,000, I think, cases over the past 10 days, and that then had led to this number of confirmed cases, both who went to the establishments themselves, but secondary infections of their family members, their friends, and workplace colleagues.
And so that actually was going to be my next question, is are you expecting perhaps a second wave of infections? And is there any more preparation that goes into it beyond the 3 Ts?
I think we should all learn to live with this risk. It's a virus that travels very quickly. There's a lot we don't know about COVID-19, but one thing we know that it travels very quickly, and it also travels very silently. People can be spreading the disease without even knowing that they have the virus, because asymptomatic people can be contagious. It turns out that 2 days prior to the symptoms showing, that's when they are most contagious. In addition to the 3 Ts, what we are preparing in terms of the contingencies, the Seoul metropolitan area is perhaps one of the most crowded spaces on earth. So the Seoul city government, the surrounding provincial government, with the participation of the city government of the Incheon airport, they are now putting together an integrated hospital management system so that if huge numbers of infections were to arise, they would be able to share the hospital resources, because it's very important not to get the medical establishments with a number of patients that they cannot handle. We also have local governments having contingencies in place for numbers of increases, hospital beds to take care of the intensive patients, but also community care centers, we call them, where light symptom patients, and 80% of them are light symptoms. Some don't even need any care. They just need to be quarantined and monitored. And of course, the consistent messaging to the public that we're not going to go back to life pre-COVID. This risk is there, and therefore we need to learn to live with this risk, and that means everybody doing their share to stick to the sanitary rules, wearing masks in public places, in public transportation, and so on, and washing your hands, of course. And, the message to being that everybody has a role to play.
Since the United States now has the most infections of any country in the world, are you worried then about Americans bringing the virus to South Korea?
We have indeed. The air travel between Korea and the U.S. Is still very open. I mean, the numbers of flights has been greatly reduced because the number of passengers buying tickets, but the air travel remains largely open between the United States and Korea. We have Koreans coming in, we have other nationalities, Americans coming in through this flight, and yes, there are people who are confirmed positive after entry into Korea. And this is not just from the United States, it's from Europe, it's from countries in the Middle East and West Asia. And again, we're not closing the border on them, we are managing them. After a series of steps to manage the incoming traffic, we have introduced 14 days of quarantine as of early April for all inbound travelers, not just the foreigners, but Koreans, at home if you have an address, in government facilities if you don't. And also, since about 15 days ago, we've also introduced mandatory testing for all inbound travelers.
And lastly, on a lighthearted note, the return of baseball has been a big deal. Many sports-starved Americans are turning into the Korean Baseball League, which is being broadcast here in the U.S. How important was that for your country to bring baseball back?
I think the coronavirus is certainly a health challenge, but it's also a psychological challenge. This prolonged period of lockdowns, social distancing, it has to have an impact on the psychological dimension of the people. And so movements like this to make baseball, which is a big part of the leisure activity for the Koreans here, as in many other countries, to have that available, not in the stadiums, but without the crowd, but available on television screens. This is an important move to address that element of this global challenge.
Thank you, Minister, so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
이 뉴스를 본 해외 네티즌의 반응은 이렇습니다. 한국의 외교부 장관은 침착하고 자신있고 진실되게 말하네. 한국은 추적, 치료, 검사, 그리고 투명성 4가지 모두 제대로 해냈어. 존중해. 한국인들은 문자 그대로 코로나19 팬데믹을 우아하게 이끌고 있어. 나는 그녀가 얼마나 말을 잘하는지 너무나 존경해. 내가 미국인인 게 싫어지네. 그들은 바이러스를 통제할 수 있기 때문에 미국과 국경을 닫지 않고 있어. 그들은 빠르게 시험하고 추적하고 치료할 수 있지. 그렇게 간단하지만 어떤 나라도 따라할 수 없어. 지금 한국에 있어서 정말 운이 좋은 것 같아. 나는 여기서 패닉을 느끼지 않았고 그들이 무엇을 하고 있는지 모르는 것처럼 느껴본 적이 없어. 미국인들은 프라이버시와 감시에 대해 너무 걱정해서 가장 높은 감염률과 사망률을 가지고 있지. 트럼프는 우리가 한국보다 많이 검사했다고 계속 말하고 있어. 한국은 검사가 필요 없고 미국은 바이러스가 온몸에 퍼져 검사가 필요하지. 다른 나라가 더 이상 필요하지 않아서 검사를 중단하는 동안의 그래프를 가져와서 비교하는 게 얼마나 어리석던지. 한 사람은 제 시간에 일을 끝내 떠났고 다른 사람은 여전히 쌓여서 따라잡는 데 돈을 쓰고 아직 멀었지만 쓸데없는 일을 많이 해서 만족감을 느끼는 것과 같아. 만약 내가 두 번째 사람이었다면 입을 닫고 있었을 거야. 첫 번째 사람과 비교하는 것에 대해 자랑스러워할 것이 전혀 없기 때문이지. 스웨덴이 한 것과는 정반대네. 노벨 평화상을 한국에 주어야 해. 이번 비상사태에서 한국이 해결책을 제시하지 못했다면 세계 각국은 심각하게 파괴되었을 거야. 이제 한국이 황금 표준이야. 서방 국가들이 하면 추적이라고 불린다. 한국이 하면 서방 국가들은 이를 전부 감시라고 부른다. 한국의 이태원 클럽에서 100명의 확진자가 발생했고 다음날 조치를 취했어. 100명의 감염자는 그들에게 있어 큰 사건이지만 미국에서는 하루에 2,000명이 사망하지 감염자 수가 아니라 사망자 수가 말이야. 그리고 트럼프는 그들이 훌륭한 일을 하고 있다고 말하고 있어 두 나라를 비교하고 싶지는 않지만 누가 훌륭한 일을 하고 있는지는 뻔하다고 할 수 있지. 일전에 강경화 장관과 독일 도이체빌레와의 인터뷰와는 사뭇 다른 반응입니다. 도이체빌레의 인터뷰에는 진행자가 너무 무례하다, 한 나라를 대표하는 외교장관에게 이런 태도가 옳은가, 도이체빌레 뉴스가 부끄럽다, 도이체빌레에 실망했어, 강경화 장관은 시간 낭비만 했네 라는 진행자의 태도를 지적하는 반응이 대다수였기 때문입니다. 하지만 도이체빌레의 영상에는 어떤 의미에서 서양 사회가 진실로 알고 싶어하는 내용이 담겼다고도 할 수 있겠습니다. 성소수자 클럽에 방문했던 남성의 동선을 추적하는 것은 사생활 침해가 아니냐는 질문에 강경화 장관은 사생활은 매우 중요한 인권이지만 절대적 권리는 아니며 시민적, 정치적 권리에 관한 국제 규약에도 규정이 되어 있는 것처럼 법률이 허용하는 범위 내에서 사생활을 제한할 수 있으며 한국의 법률은 어떤 경우 사생활이 제한될 수 있는지를 명확하게 규정하고 있다고 답변했습니다. 또한 한국의 SNS에서는 모금 활동까지 벌이며 성소수자를 규탄하는 움직임이 나오고 있는데 한국 사회는 이를 용인하는 사회인가 하는 질문에 한국은 민주주의 국가로 인권을 매우 중시하는 나라이며 편견과 차별은 용납될 수 없다고 확실하게 답했습니다. 혁명기를 거치면서 그간 작은 정부를 지향해왔던 서양 사회가 코로나 사태를 맞아 겪는 딜레마는 우리의 상상을 크게 뛰어넘을 것입니다. 영국의 경우에는 코로나 대응 실패로 정부가 크게 지탄받는 상황이 만들어진 뒤에서야 6월 1일까지 한국의 추적 시스템을 도입하겠다고 선언했습니다. 한국을 연구하고 배울 점은 찾는 상황이 이어짐에 따라 앞으로도 강경화 장관의 외신 인터뷰를 만나볼 수 있을 것 같습니다. 감사합니다. 와트맨이었습니다.